Right, well, I had to do some investigating and I can confirm with brake cleaner that that is good. I've had to take that off just to check, all good, but still getting air leaks because of this problem. Yes, unfortunately, tighten up them bolts has not actually helped. I've just tried to tighten them up, but we have got a small air leak, unfortunately, at the inlet gasket. Oh, I think I should have done this when I did all this. Oh well, all this has got to come off and we'll have to change that gasket as well. Well, forgive the fact that I'm not filming this bit by bit, but it's getting dark and I need to get this inlet manifold off now because the gasket is just shot. It's probably best practice to change your inlet and exhaust gaskets when you're doing this sort of recommissioning. It's just I never thought I'd need to do this. I did it with Beatrix because, well, it's a K series. You can't really neglect, especially the inlet gasket. If they go, it can cook your engine and you wouldn't know anything about it. But I've just whipped it off. It's literally about 5 bolts and 5 little nuts on the back. You just got to disconnect everything. Disconnect the water pipe for the cooling jacket that goes in the inlet. And that's really it. Just disconnect your fuel. I have not disconnected the carb. I've kept the carb on the manifold itself just to save time. But I think we might have seen what the problem was ish. Right, switch my torch on, and I've just disconnected the water pipe. And yeah, I think we can say that the gasket has seen better days. Yeah, I'm not particularly happy about that gasket at all. So yeah, that's definitely going to be changed. Okay, and if we look at the other side, yeah, it's completely obliterated. If I just show you the right way up, we have the cooling jacket in there. So your water goes in a port down here. Well, sorry, on this side, this water port, and it goes in the bottom here. And the water circulates around here just to keep the cylinder, well, keep the inlet as cool as possible. That might explain some of my manky water. But yeah, this needs a good scrape. It's literally the gasket is stuck half to the engine and half to this. Ooh. Didn't notice that before on the carb. But could do a bit of a clean up, in all honesty. But yeah, good opportunity. So I've taken it all off in one go. So yeah, I'm going to cut back. I'm going to have to clean all that up. But do forgive I'm not filming this. But wow, this is going to run like one great motor. I'll tell you something. Brake cleaner does not affect that no more. It's not affecting that side, and the car is slightly happier. There's less buffeting, but there was still buffeting, which is why I sprayed brake cleaner on that thing. So, oh dearie me. Life of classic cars. You do one, you do another, you do that, and then can I have that? It's like literally at the end of the month when I get paid, my cars say to me, right, okay, so what are you going to spend on me this month? It's literally like that. Cut forward to 3 or 4 days time when the new gasket comes to me again. Right, now you can see the carburetor on the inlet manifold, and as I'm going to demonstrate on my lovely carpet, it has been cleaned to 1 inch of its life. I've wet sanded this surface perfectly, and I tell you what, I cannot feel anything. And I think it's quite important here because the gasket, the inlet gasket, is essentially made of paper, and this is not going to be a good surface if it's got lumps in it. You're going to leak air like a sieve, just like the old one. The old one was just made of, well, it was the original, put it that way, and it wasn't a gasket no more, which was why we were getting so poor air leaks. What I've also done, now this is not recommended in the book, but it has been suggested to me by somebody who actually tunes carburetors for a living. There may be fractionally a slight air leak between the 2 gaskets here. Now, for some strange reason, the Weber carburetor kit should have come with a top gasket. It's a little paper gasket. So there's a paper gasket, then this black spacer, then another paper gasket. Now, the bottom one shouldn't come with the kit anyway, but the top one should have. I didn't get it. So that's a very strange one, because I know someone who's bought a kit for a 2830 DFTM, and it comes with this gasket. So I'm quite bemused by that, actually. I'm really not happy about that. But the truth is, the gaskets didn't look bad, but I was told, as you can just notice, probably here in the light, oh yes, I've put some blue Hylamar on. Old-fashioned stuff, just a tiny fraction along the edge. Because what you don't want when you start clamping it down, I tell you what, there's no way I'm going to be able to take this carburettor off in situ ever again. I have tightened these nuts all the way down. I had a feeling, because the back ones are really difficult to get to in the car. These two are an absolute pain to get to, especially this one. Tightening that down is a real pain, and that could also be a source of air leaks by not tightening it. Yeah, the idle screw is kind of halfway in, but I am pleased to report, by looking at some of the spark plugs, we are getting a much better air fuel mixture. So my work is definitely improving, especially with the exhaust manifold gasket now no longer leaking. The settings can be turned in, because you have to screw it in to weaken the mixture, because it doesn't need it no more. So it suggests that the engine is running a lot more happier. The other thing I'm going to do to eliminate air leaks, I've just cleaned up the whole backside. It looks absolutely amazing. I've just given it a slight wet sand. It looks absolutely amazing, doesn't it? I've done this at home. I haven't used an ultrasonic cleaner or anything like that. But what I'd also recommend at this junction here is this is the inlet, so an air feed to the breather. Now, well, it's a feed. It's actually a return from the breather. So the breather system pumps vapors, or oil vapors, into there, and it gets burnt in the carburettor. So oil vapors, that is, from the crankcase breather system. And a couple of times that hose has actually slipped off. So what I intend to do is put a little cable tie around that breather hose to make sure it stays on, because when it slips off, there's an actual, the car won't start. It's an actual air leak. Technically, it's an air leak, because actually there's a lot more air going in there than what you've adjusted the carburettor for. You've got, let's say, 5 lots of air going through there, because it's restricted air, because it goes through the air filter, that breathing, that oil vapor, as it is. It's restricted. It goes through the filters. Let's say it's 5. If the hose comes off, you'll get 10 lots of air, because it's fresh air coming in all the time. That 5 lots of air is not accounted for when you've adjusted it up. So that's why you'll get an air leak, and potentially won't start. It won't run properly. It's a basically an air leak in its own right. The cooling jacket looks very good. I have taken this plug out and I've had a good clean, and it looks fantastic in there. I'm really pleased with this thing. It's just so nice to touch now. It's not greasy or anything. Now, the worrying bit of advice I was actually given by my friend who's into carburettors is, back in the day, 2830 Weber carburettors, when there was an issue, and usually it's an issue with not idling. Fantastic. That's something I really didn't want to know. They threw them in the bin and bought an earlier carburettor. Fantastic. So that could be, well, I wouldn't like it because this is the original to the car, but that was the done deal back in the day. But there must be a reason why they didn't work. A lot of these later carburettors, there's a lot to them, as you can see, and there's a lot of problems that these have. But this is being rebuilt, and it stands a very good chance of working, and it does. The car drives perfectly fine down the road. It's just the idling, but it's air leaks, and that's what the problem is. So this is definitely going to go back on the car as well. Top tip, a bit of advice actually. This solenoid, the fuel cut-off solenoid, if that doesn't work, the car won't start, because there'll be no feed going into the carburettor. It will block the channel that the air fuel goes through. It will just block it. The idea is, when you turn the ignition on, the solenoid pushes out and it allows the flow of fluid. So as soon as you turn the ignition off to stop the car, the solenoid pushes back out and blocks the channel, cuts the car off straight away. So that's what it's designed to do. But when they fail, unfortunately, your car won't start. So if you've got one of these and you've got a solenoid on the back and it won't start at all, have a look, check that it actually makes a sound. But I'm really, really pleased with this. let's proceed to fitting it. Well, in this bloggy episode, it will be clips only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. Oh, hello. 3 days later. And I have been doing some cleaning. We've been doing some checking. And I just want to update you on one other thing in this bloggy, clippy episode, which is very unlike me, but it's dark, it's horrible, and I just want to get on with the job. And you guys are not going to get a very good video in this sort of light. So hence why I'm doing it clip by clip. So, master cylinder is no longer leaking again. And I've just checked it again. Yeah, absolutely not. That is the previous damage that has been done. It's not leaking at all. I've pumped the pedal 1,000,000 times and it's rock solid. It's rock hard. And I think whatever brake fluid has come away was either excessive brake fluid from the previous leaks into the servo coming back out under pressure. I've got a feeling that's the case because that master cylinder is a good master cylinder. I'm really pleased with that. But it's on the back of the engine you want to see. I have been doing a lot of cleaning down here. Now, I'm going to refer to a couple of things later on. But look at the back side of this engine. I have gone over with rust converter on the whole back side. Looks really good down there. In there, the multi-layer head gasket is just peeping out a little bit there on the seam. But we have wet sanded the whole face of where the gasket will sit. So I'm really pleased. I looked into some of the cylinders and the inlet valves look very clean. I'm very impressed. Some carb cleaner has sort of shot down the ports, so no doubt it will sort of cough itself into life again. This is the main hose. This breather hose, by the way, guys, please check that this is not blocked. I've actually looked down into there and I'm very happy. At some point in the future, I'm going to want to take the sump off and just have a look what's in there, because it would just be interesting when I do the next oil change. The oil pressure sender, thank you, Rob. Rob had to replace that very recently before I bought the car because the O-ring had started to leak everywhere. So that's been changed for a good one, a genuine one. The dipstick does not leak anymore for some reason. Well, it was leaking, now it's not leaking where it goes in at the base down there. Please don't ask me what a tub of grease is doing down there. I dropped it, couldn't be bothered to pick it up just now. But look at down there at the side of the gearbox. It's just really, really nice and clean down there. It's not leaking around where the speedo cable goes into the back down there. It's just really nice. The drive shafts, I've just given them a clean. I've given the bulkhead another bit of a clean. I've actually polished this bulkhead. I've taken the opportunity while this is all off to do this. I should have done this before. I bitterly regret actually not doing it all properly, but the truth is I've actually taken this project in a slightly different angle, and that is, if it's not broken, don't replace it, because parts on these engines are getting hard to find. Although saying that, gaskets are not hard to find, they're made brand new. And again, it's another Victor Rines inlet gasket for about £8, so very cheap indeed. I've also actually got to check the timing belt tension because I've driven it, I've ran it. I need to recheck it again to make sure it's all good. That's a fair enough point. A couple of people actually, referring back to that video when I did the timing belt, said you didn't do it entirely the way that Ford would have intended. You did it to the Haynes manual, but you didn't actually you're supposed to put it 2 notches out, but I've done it to the book. It seems to run perfectly fine, and obviously that was the way the old belt was fitted, but I just prefer to be safe and go by the book. But some people say you can put them a couple of teeth out because that will get better running, apparently. So it is a done deal, but all good really. The inlet gasket is really nice and clean. After running the car briefly on that dreadful video where the car was still stuttering because unfortunately the intake wasn't quite happy, but it was happier. And I've just removed a couple of random spark plugs, and I can tell you now they look good. They look as if they've come out of a modern car with an ECU, which keeps it looking, well, keep them looking grey on the electrode and white on the centre insulator electrode. It's simple as that. That is what you want, a grey looking spark plug, not a black one, and certainly not a very white one. A white one, you're too lean. There was nothing really else to mention here. There's no other concerns that I have. It's all cleaned up rather well, and it literally took me 5 minutes to disconnect that lot. It was so easy to do. And I'm going to show you the results of me cleaning the inlet manifold, ready to go back on. I do apologise again that this is not a detailed video, but it's extremely simple, and all the bits I've shown you, how I took all that stuff off the carburettor, you have to do all that for this. You have to take that water pipe out of the inlet that goes in the bottom of the inlet, and that's really it. Obviously you've got to take the fuel line off. I've disconnected it from the pump, and that's it. Right, 3 days later, and we have a new gasket, Victor Rines, and that is the parts number. Okay, and it is simply a paper gasket, as you can see, and we are going to put this straight on the inlet and get that thing whacked on. Fighting against the dark and the cold. It is freezing out here. Let's get it bang on. Okay, so all been cleaned. I am very, very happy with the state of cleanliness of this block. I'm just going to move this bracket out the way. Go, it's an earth bracket. You've got the writing side, you've got the plain side. It's good thick quality gasket paper this is, and it is, just have a look at the way it should go, but it should go right in front up, and don't force it. Whatever you do, just take your time, and it will come off at one end because it's a bit floppy. There we go, done. As long as it's relatively down. There you go. This is the bit that's highly edited. Joke. Make sure everything is out the way. This is where you need small hands. Remember these two studs on this side, before I forget personally, remember it's for these two, so you've got to kind of pop it there we go, and then you can put the nuts on. Obviously you'll have no earth. That wouldn't be very good, so make sure you don't forget these two. Go on. Right, so breather, this pipe, it keeps coming off the end, and I would recommend that you get a very small hose clip, or in my case a petrol pipe clip, because I've got nothing else. Because if this pulls off, and it has done, you will get air leaks, and I am trying to prevent air leaks as much as possible. Okay. Very therapeutic, isn't it? Old cars, the way everything just slots back in together and clicks back into place in a rather simplistic and back to basics manner. I love classics. But that repair, it's no good if it doesn't work. It will work, but it's whether this car will still behave. Fingers crossed it does. It better do. Oh, top tip. I always have a top tip. Yeah. Torque settings, ignore them. I had to tighten the exhaust manifold bolts up just a little bit more to have just a little bit more security that they're not going to come off, or at least not prematurely, or shake themselves off and cause the issue again. All those manifold nuts, I don't know what the torque setting is, but I go the rule of thumb, very, very tight and spread equally. You start in the middle and then you spread to the outer nuts, and that will make sure that you're not going to crack anything, especially if you're dealing with a plastic manifold. This, no need to worry, it's metal. Take care, guys.